Hi there. My name's Heather, and this is the Ankara Book Club. I'm really excited to talk to you today about a book that found me just at the right time. And rather than being a life-changing new idea, this book actually represented huge amounts of confirmation in both my own healing journey and what I can facilitate for other people. So I found this book, Secrets of Aboriginal Healing. Sorry about the shine. I'll put the link in the comments. I found that when I was on holiday in Sydney, and it tells a story of a man, it was actually set back in the 90s, that had pretty fast developing MS. And he followed an instinct and an intuition that took him all the way out to an Australian remote tribe, Indigenous tribe, on nothing more than, I guess, desperation. And he went all on his own. By that stage, he was in a wheelchair, so the MS had been developing for many years. And he worked with the resident healers in that tribe for a long time to work through his illness. And the way that they did that is so aligned with my beliefs to do with healing after working with people for over 15 years. There is a whole lot of similarities here in what we teach at the Ankara Academy, down to belief systems that can make you sick, down to thought patterns and the way that you view yourself and your life, and how that's affecting your body and dismantling it and making it go into particularly a very strong autoimmune condition that medicine doesn't really have any remedies for. Management definitely. But MS is this condition where you slowly go numb piece by piece, and you lose the circuitry and the chi and the aliveness in your tissues, in your cells, in your muscles, in your bones, to the point where you don't have any feeling. And this firsthand account was really beautiful to read. And first of all, I think it really changes the way that we think about Indigenous cultures, and whether it's an Australian Indigenous culture or another Indigenous culture, if there's any framework around that you think that their styles of healing would be primitive in any way, they're absolutely not. This opened up my eyes to a few things that maybe I didn't quite have any confirmation from before. So it talks about how people in this Australian Aboriginal tribe communicate telepathically with each other primarily, and that is part of their everyday life. They also work with their healers telepathically, and the healers are simply those that are called to the path, that learn from the master healers before them. But they sat with him and worked on his fundamental belief system and how everything in his life was causing him to go numb, how he was avoiding all feeling, all emotions, all discomfort by shutting down those parts of himself. And his body was responding to that. So it's a beautiful story to read. It's very inspiring. It's very thought-provoking. They also use muscle testing in this, which is something that I've used for years and teach my students to use as well. They work on belief systems. They work on emotions. They work on the things we actually believe our body can do, and the things we believe our life is about represent such a fundamental energetics for our system that it turned out that this man in particular, and most of us, didn't believe in his own healing capacity and didn't believe he had healing gifts himself. So it's interesting that the success of this story is that feeling returned to his body, and MS is generally not a disease that you can reverse as far as Western medicine is concerned. And he went on to help many other people with their own illnesses and their own lives, using what he learned in that Aboriginal tribe and applying it to other people that felt lost, that felt numb, that felt they were defined by their diseases and that they didn't have any kind of access to healing, because medicine is there for us to test and to organize and to understand. Western medicine is exceptionally good at emergencies, exceptionally good at keeping us alive and giving us those tools when we do bottom out and we don't understand yet, and we haven't got the data to understand what we have and what our body is trying to signal to us. But what do we do for healing, which is reversing the patterns and the systems within our body that are developed over time in order to keep us in some kind of homeostasis? Hey, lovelies, if you're resonating with this content, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps out the channel, helps us to make beautiful content for you all. Don't forget to comment down below too if you want to share your experiences, ask us a question, and send in some requests. We'd love to know what you want more videos about. Once again, thank you for watching, and we love you all so much. You know, disease is symptoms that snowball and snowball, and our root causes are often sometimes from birth, but decades ago. So we need both. We need integration. We need to know that Western medicine is there for the testing, for the data, for the emergency, for the life-changing pharmaceutical drugs at times that we need when we call the SOS button, when these patterns are too far gone. But then when we can develop a better understanding about how our bodies are always working for us to keep us in homeostasis, to keep us adapting to our environment, then we can work towards healing, we can work towards prevention, we can work towards awareness. So it's only one person's story, first-hand account. But if there's a part of you that is struggling with an illness, or a part of you that is still very skeptical about healing and what it takes, I think this is a nice way to learn about it, because he is receiving this from an ancient medicine system, from an Indigenous tribe that he had no previous associations with. And he went on to help many people, and his wife has written more books, and her health journey and healing journey is quite amazing too. That'll be one of the next books coming up. But I've always loved first-hand accounts and stories that are to do with that change point and what it actually takes for people to heal and to change. It's really not easy to change your belief system. And until you have a life-threatening illness, it's hard to really justify why you would want to believe that you have healing gifts, that you are here to serve people, that you can make a difference, that maybe our bodies are capable of more than what we thought. Maybe our emotions are messenger signals. Maybe they're highly intelligent. Maybe we've got it all wrong. Maybe we don't know everything. Maybe it's not just about getting ahead and working through life in this conditional, transactional, rational place. Healing is not rational at all. Healing is something that changes us from the inside out and demands so much of us to be more flexible, more open, more willing to receive, more loving. And one of the things that I really loved about this book and what it brought through is the incredible power of hope, and how we find hope and how we keep hope alive. And hope is really connected to the magical world. It's not rational at all, but hope is now being tested scientifically and through accounts like this to show us that it could be a remedy for depression, illness, disease, and all of these things that we think are purely rational and scientific, and perhaps not quite. I love this book. It really talked to me and confirmed to me about the multidimensional nature of all of us and all of the unseen parts of our lives that maybe we're not in touch with. And for me personally, it gave me huge amounts of hope on our telepathic capacity. And if we were living in tribes, and if we were divinely connected to the land, and if we were connected to each other, I think telepathy would be just the most efficient way to provide that communication. One thing that was clarified in here also for me is this Indigenous tribe primarily Their meditation was simply tuning out of the mind chatter and tuning into the moment. So he talks about you would just see them gazing off in the distance together, and that might last a few minutes. It might last 10 or 20 minutes. And that was their version of meditation. It was a way to be just in the present moment without the chit chatter of the mind constantly. And look at the things that we have to do in the Western world and in our lives just to embrace meditation, just to be present within ourselves. And a lot of people tell me they can't meditate and it's too hard and they can't do it on their own. And we're so afraid of that tune out. We're so afraid of not being run by our egos and our mind monkey chatter and all those things that we prize as the most powerful and the most glorified. But meditation is just being in the moment and losing sense of time and space. And if that's a few minutes a day, then at least your body can reset. If that's half an hour a day, a heavier reset. If that's hours a day, your nervous system will regulate more. And that telepathy idea really helps us to imagine a world again where we are so connected with each other that it doesn't have to be transactional. It provides huge relief for me that I wouldn't have to spend so many hours on conscious, active, and nonviolent communication with everybody around me. If we just had that connection and we knew how to speak to each other in another way that wasn't using vocal cords and understanding what to say and using our minds all the time, it would simply be this exchange and this deep knowing. So that's given me a lot of hope, actually. So once again, if you love this video, if you've read this book, if you love what we do, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. I'd love to know everything that you have to say, good, bad, or indifferent. And thank you, Robbie Holz and Gary Holz, for your work. Beautiful thing to be circulating around in the world. And if you see this book, grab a copy, borrow it secondhand, and let me know what you think. And it's okay to be skeptical about some of these things, but I think if we're open to the information and we can sort through it and analyze it for ourselves, then that's just as good as accepting everything. I think we all have our own pathway to knowledge, and honor what yours is. And I hope you love this book too. Thank you so much for joining me. Heaps of love. Bye.